This house is mine now, so I won't allow you, Mom, to step foot in here anymore. Just so you know, that key won't work anymore, so you might as well throw it away." As I clenched the key, my daughter glanced at it and burst into laughter. My belongings were piled up roughly in front of the entrance. Why would my daughter treat me this way? Especially when my heart was still heavy with grief from returning from my husband's funeral? I was lost, unable to comprehend the situation. My name is Susan, and I am 60 years old. My husband passed away recently after a long illness. The funeral was attended by many who knew him well. We shared memories and traits of my husband, sending him off with smiles rather than tears, in a funeral that was very much in his spirit. Yet, I was left overwhelmed by a sense of loss. We have a daughter, Emily, who moved to a distant town after getting married and had grown distant over the past few years, rarely showing her face even during holidays. And she left quickly after making a brief appearance at her father's funeral. Before she got married, she was very close to us, always saying she couldn't bear the thought of living away from us despite our advice to live on her own after getting a job. After all, meals taste better when the family eats together, don't they? I always get home from work late, so let's at least eat together on my days off. Perhaps she said this to cheer up her father, who was becoming frail with illness. We were also very happy and grateful for Emily's kindness. Then, Emily suddenly announced that she was getting married, and hurriedly submitted the marriage certificate, only to suddenly leave the house. We were puzzled. We met her partner only once and exchanged a few words. But it seemed they truly loved each other, and we wished for Emily's happiness, refraining from meddling in their affairs. However, after a few months of marriage, she stopped contacting us at all. We worriedly sent daily messages and calls, asking if she was all right, but received no replies until finally, she answered, irritably asking us to stop contacting her every day, and even laughed loudly, suggesting she'd only talk to us if we sent her some money. During the day, she seemed to be very drunk and slurring her words. My husband, having heard this exchange, sighed deeply. Emily's change was likely influenced by her husband, Ollie. Since then, my husband never mentioned Emily again. Some years later, Emily shamelessly approached us for money, citing financial troubles. That was the last time she and her father saw each other. Over the years, my husband and I created many memories together, traveling and taking up new hobbies whenever his health permitted. Eventually, he passed away. Returning home from the funeral, I was shocked to find my belongings piled up outside, with movers directed by Emily. Just pile that junk over there. Oh, you're back? Well, this isn't your home anymore, Mom. I've gathered your things, so you better find somewhere else to live before it rains and everything gets soaked. Emily, what are you doing? What on earth are you doing? Please explain. I was just confused, not understanding anything. What's there to explain? You know, don't you? This house is supposed to be inherited by Emily. Don't play dumb. Saying this, a large man emerged from behind Emily. It was all because of this man that Emily had changed. Ollie is Emily's husband. Meeting Ollie changed Emily completely. We were introduced to him as a regular company employee, but in reality, he was involved in dubious business dealings. When we found out, we couldn't understand how our straightforward Emily ended up with someone like Ollie, and we were very worried. Emily and Ollie kept us at a distance. Despite this, a few years ago, they suddenly came to our house and shamelessly asked my husband for money. I was terribly shaken. But my husband remained calm and spoke about a will that even I was unaware of. At that time, it was clearly stated that this house would go to Emily and everything else to you. Now that Dad has passed away, the house belongs to Emily, so outsiders should leave quickly. You have no right to live here. Don't pretend you've forgotten. Ollie kicked my belongings aside and sneered. But, you can't just say that all of a sudden. Seeing my belongings piled outside, I didn't know what to do and was completely lost. Now, Ollie. You shouldn't speak so coldly. You're right, Mom has no right to live here, but we're still family, aren't we? Saying so, Emily approached me as I stood there holding the key. Don't look so sad. You'll always be my mom. With this key, you can come to this house anytime. Don't be downhearted. Then, she took the key from my hand, tossed it far away with all her might. What are you doing? The key arched through the air and disappeared in the distance. I was stunned by Emily's unbelievable action. Turning back to Emily, sorry about that. Upon closer inspection, that key was already useless. I forgot we changed the locks earlier. It was pointless for you to hold on to it, so I threw it away for you. Don't look like you're about to cry. It's as if I did something mean. Emily and Ollie pointed at me, stunned, and laughed loudly. The face of Emily, now devoid of any resemblance to her before marriage, was that of a person who would stoop to any lows for her own benefit. Why has it come to this? I felt tears welling up. Then, I remembered my husband's kind smile, as if he was telling me to hang in there. Emily, I understand what you want to say. But you seem to be misunderstanding something. This is no place to talk. Let's go inside. I urged Emily and Ollie to come in, but they resisted. What? We haven't finished moving in yet. Plus, don't act all high and mighty telling us to talk inside. This is no longer your house. You need our permission to enter. Facing Ali's arrogance, we need to talk about this house. It's not yours yet. I'm just about to explain that. I've already called a helper who can explain it in a way that even a child can understand. And he'll be here shortly. Let's go inside and have some tea. You're still saying that? If you keep insisting on staying in this house, I'll call the police. Don't make me repeat myself. This house isn't Emily's. If you understand, come inside quickly. If you do anything to me, I'll be the one calling the police. My firm stance seemed to unsettle them a bit. Well, it would be the last time to hear some of an old woman's nonsense. You're getting old anyway. We'll indulge you this much. All right, let's hear what you have to say. If you talk nonsense, you'll have to compensate us for wasting our precious time. Ollie sat on the sofa, crossed his legs, and threatened me. Emily glared at me similarly. It seemed these two had threatened many people like this before, squeezing out what they could. This thought saddened me. Soon, the doorbell rang, and I let a man into the living room. He was the lawyer who had been present when my husband disclosed the contents of the will. You're the lawyer from that time, right? What accusation are you trying to make? We've seen the will that clearly states this house is to be inherited by Emily, and Dad said so. That's an irrefutable fact, isn't it? As I explained before, you didn't quite understand back then. The will stipulates a conditional bequest, and if the condition occurs, the bequest loses its effect. What? Are you trying to confuse us with all these complicated terms? Seeing their confusion, the lawyer took over to explain. Conditional bequest with revocation refers to a will that comes with conditions. The condition for the inheritance in your father's will was that Susan could continue living in the house as long as she is in good health. Emily could inherit the house only if Susan could no longer live there due to health issues or passed away. This was clearly stated in the document, and your father emphasized it. Ollie and Emily seemed completely lost. Huh? Did he say that? Even if he did, there's no way we'd remember. What's all this about revocation? Emily shook her head in denial. All right, then what about those conditions? They were a bit shaken, but still defiant. You two tried to force Susan out of the house, violating the will's condition. By doing that, Emily lost her right to inherit at that moment. Wait a minute. Are you saying I can't inherit just because of that? That's ridiculous. The lawyer, unfazed by Emily's outburst. A minor issue? That's the crux of this will. Whether minor or major, breaking that condition results in revocation. Lawyer, when did we ever break that condition? Can you prove it? He leaned in, clearly trying to intimidate the lawyer. The lawyer, clearing his throat. There was a moving truck outside arranged by you two, wasn't it? You were trying to move your things in and live here without Susan's consent. Don't say it like we did something wrong. We told Mom about it. She just forgot and panicked on her own. That's not our fault. Listen, Emily. Such childish excuses don't work in the adult world. You not only moved in without permission but also threw my belongings outside, telling me to leave quickly. I didn't say that. You're the one lying. I can't forgive even my own mother for making up such accusations. If you keep this up, I'll sue you. Do you want that? Being sued by your daughter is the last thing you want, right? Then take back what you said. The lawyer pulled out his phone. We can't retract the truth. Multiple witnesses saw and heard you demanding Susan leave. We've even recorded their testimonies. He played a video with testimonies from movers and neighbors. Everyone's statements are consistent. They all say you two demanded Susan leave. You could have paid them to say that. How can we trust this? Stop making a fool of us. Without responding to Ollie's accusation, the lawyer produced a key. Emily, you took the key from Susan and threw it away, which was witnessed by many. I found this key in the bushes, as described. The fact you changed the locks means Susan can't enter or live here, violating the condition that she can stay as long as she's healthy. Thus, you've breached the inheritance condition. Don't spout whatever you want. If I get serious, I can make sure a second-rate lawyer like you never works again. Despite Ollie's loud threats, the lawyer remained calm and continued. Therefore, this house will never belong to Emily, and you have no right to live here now. Please remove your belongings and restore Susan's immediately. If you delay or try to stay, we'll report a breaking and entering crime to the police. You have 2 hours. Start now. The lawyer clapped his hands sharply and checked the time on his wristwatch. Police, you say? Such nonsense won't shake me. Ollie blustered, but the lawyer countered. I'm a professional in law. This is no lie. Getting into trouble with the police over this would only be problematic for you. Even Ollie seemed to understand this wasn't an empty threat. Damn it. Ollie and Emily started sweating profusely and hurriedly got up to move. It appeared Ollie is like a man who is big only in size, but has no guts. I'm sorry. We'll put everything back right away, so please don't call the police, okay? Please. Emily pleaded in a sweet voice to the lawyer and shouted at the movers waiting outside to reload the truck, but they refused, citing no such agreement. Eventually, Ollie had to rent a car and somehow managed to load the belongings. Just loading isn't enough. You must restore everything to how it was. If Susan's belongings are damaged or dirty, clean them up. Any damage and we'll report property damage and seek compensation. The lawyer continuously mentioned reporting and compensation claims, pushing Ollie and Emily to restore everything within 2 hours. After loading their belongings, Emily tearfully asked Ollie, "Now that we've packed up, what do we do?" "How should I know?" "It's because your dad left that weird will," Emily retorted sharply, blaming Ollie for not listening to the will properly. Despite their argument, they drove off, fleeing the scene. I thanked the lawyer profusely and returned to my home filled with memories of my husband, feeling relieved. I later heard that Ollie and Emily had caused trouble in their previous town and moved to our house almost like a night flight, being targeted by scary people. Without jobs, they planned to intimidate me for inheritance money. Emily, staying with Ollie, seems destined for a life of repetition. It pained me, but it was the path Emily chose. If they ever regret their actions and wish to live honorably, I'm willing to help. My husband had mentioned something like this. For now, I'll enjoy my time in this house we shared, considering even trying skydiving. Something my husband had wanted to do. Looking up at the stars in the night sky, I felt my husband encouraging me, and I gently touched the corners of my eyes.